Beta 1.7.3 is a version of Minecraft that came out all the way back in July of 2011. It predates the Ender Dragon, predates sprinting, potions, enchanting, villages, the hunger system, nether fortresses. Beta 1.7.3 is what many consider to be the last true sandbox version of Minecraft, having no end goals to complete other than the ones you set yourself. It is the most bare bones Minecraft experience that still has the most content possible before the major changes that came with the adventure update. Many of us in the old Minecraft community often talk about what additions to the modern game we would like to change or remove. But in this video, I wanted to talk about what I would add to Beta 1.7.3 to improve the core game. Now, of course, this is my own opinion, so if you disagree, make sure to tell me all about it in the comments, and let me know what else you'd like to see in Beta 1.7.3. Now, gold is, and practically always has been useless when it comes to armor and tools. And this is especially true in beta. They're a flex item, but don't serve much protection or usefulness. A gold tool is faster than any other at mining, but with such low durability, it's hardly worth the slight speed increase. What I think would make gold tools viable though, wouldn't be to increase its durability. It would be to make them essentially a silk touch item. Able to mine stone without smelting it, ores, bookshelves, ice, glass, you name it. I think this would be a great ability to give the gold tools, and a solid trade-off between function and durability. It would make gold worth collecting for more than just decoration and powered rails. Now, part of the criteria I had for adding things to beta Minecraft is that it doesn't improve necessarily on features that already exist, rather fills a gap that exists in beta Minecraft. Now, some of you might point out that this is a bit contradictory because in beta Minecraft, all of these blocks that I've mentioned can be pushed with pistons. And in the case of these murals, as you can see, I have actually pushed a ton of ores from the bottom of the ground up to the surface here, and in other places we've made, giant ice sculptures. And yes, while in this case it is true that you can move these blocks around with pistons, I do still think that having gold items be essentially silk touch makes it a lot more useful and, I guess, player friendly than having to, commit the mass amounts of time to piston desired blocks in certain places, and makes it a little more convenient when you need to pick up a bookshelf again, for example. Okay, so next up is the book and quill, and I don't feel like this needs a whole lot of explanation if I'm honest. Signs just don't really cut it if you want to write a lot of information down or keep editing information you have. They're super useful in making checklists, keeping records, and they can open the door wide open for interactivity on servers. Alright, and next up we have the item frame and the armor stand. And I've tossed and turned over whether I would like to add these things to beta or not, but I think I've decided in the end that they add just the right amount of displayability to the game for my liking. And to show you what I mean when I say just the right amount of displayability, something small like this, having the armor stands be able to display your armor sets like this. Maybe you've died and you respawn here and you come along, you just grab a set of armor and keep going. Maybe you have the item frame on the wall with tools and things. I like that kind of just accent, feature in the game. And if we come up to here, we can even use it in building. On this wall here, I've added the armor stands onto the pillar, which I think looks really good. So I think, it adds a little bit of extra, I guess, detail and function to the game, which I quite like. And when it comes to the item frames, I mean, obviously you can put your tools in there, any extras and stuff, but you can even use it to hang up, things of value and meaning and stuff like this. And paired with the book and quill, I think it would be a worthy addition to beta. This one has always kind of frustrated me because I don't really understand why the redstone block and the coal block do not exist in beta Minecraft, because we have all the other ores and their associated blocks except for redstone and coal, and I don't understand why. It makes sense for these three, but then you've even got lapis as a block that they've been able to make up. So I don't understand why Notch didn't add the redstone and the coal block as well, especially because they're so useful. You know, you come across so much coal, and you always need coal for smelting things. So it's such a useful thing. I find when I go caving, I always leave behind a lot of coal because I don't have space in my inventory when I'm collecting all of this stuff. It would have been so useful to be able to actually get the coal block, in beta. And then redstone, of course, you get loads of redstone when you break it, similar to lapis. And then, of course, the redstone block has its own functionality as well in redstone contraptions. So it's like a double-edged thing. It would have been so useful to have it, twice. So yeah, I would definitely add these to beta. There's kind of no reason why they shouldn't be. Okay, now I guess this one is definitely a bit more niche and specific, and this is very specific redstone functions and use cases, I guess. Now, there's very specific ones that I want in beta that feel beta to me, and then there's others that I've excluded that to me don't feel beta. Things like, sticky blocks, what are they called? Slime blocks and honey blocks. I don't really want that in beta. I don't think that fits as well. But these features I think do. So the first one is being able to place redstone on glass and having, glass be a block that doesn't conduct, redstone. So as you can see here, we've got just the wool blocks, the redstone torches there, and it powers the line above, but also the one in front. Whereas this one here only powers the line in front. It doesn't power what's on top of the glass, which I think is a really useful thing in redstone and condensing redstone as well. The next one is hoppers. I think some people would agree with this, some people wouldn't. I think hoppers are a great addition to the game, and I think they're very useful. They make it so that you don't have to be at your farms, and the 5-minute timer kind of ruins the fact that you have to be at your farms all the time, I suppose. But yeah, to me, I think hoppers are a pretty cool addition. Comparators are super useful. I love being able to, have a way to detect how many items are in a chest and things like that. Being able to add and subtract, from redstone signals and things. I think it's a very useful thing. I'm not the best at using comparators, but I think they are definitely very useful. The next one is the activator rail. Obviously this is super useful, and in beta where minecarts are the the epitome of travel, I think having the ability to dismount automatically is very useful, and I think it would be helpful in mini games. It'd be helpful just in day-to-day travel. I think it'd be really useful. So yeah, I really wish those were in the game. And then last of all, like we said before, the redstone block, very useful in redstone contraptions, and that along with the hoppers and things would revolutionize a lot of redstone in beta Minecraft. Alright, now this one I feel like a lot of people might actually agree with me, and that is to have the carrot on a stick to be able to actually control the mounted pig. So in beta you can ride your pig, you can put a saddle on, you can ride your pig, but you can't control it. You just sit on it while it rides you around. You can get the advancement, but that's about it. But I think you should be able to ride it, and actually control it with the carrot on a stick. I think it would give a much needed kind of alternative form of transport that isn't just walking or, minecart railing. I feel like this is a good balanced way to kind of make it almost an AFK-able walk where you can walk along, very slow, but, it doesn't cost as much, to set up, and you just have to get lucky to find a saddle. Now the other part of this is I think you should be able to kill the pig to get the saddle back in beta Minecraft. If the pig despawns or, it dies, you don't get the saddle back, which is a bit annoying. Even though you get like tons of them in the chests at dungeons, it's still nice to get the saddle back. But yeah, I think this should be a feature. I mean, I think pigs should have probably been the mounted mob of Minecraft, instead of bringing horses into the game and things like that. It would have been great to have, pigs with pig armor, pig diamond armor and stuff like that. Would have been pretty funny, but yeah, that's just my opinion. I think we should be able to control and lure pigs with, with saddles and carrots on a stick. Okay, and I guess while we've got our pig, this next one's pretty relevant. I think there should be name tags in beta Minecraft, because in beta Minecraft, passive mobs and hostile mobs, they all despawn and respawn, but sometimes you might want to keep them, you know, keep them for decoration, keep them in fences, you know, keep sheep in pens, or, you know, like in the case of this pig, you don't want it to despawn, you know, so you need a name tag. Now, I don't think anvils should be added. What I think should happen is when you right click the pig or animal to name it, a little text box should come up, you know, to allow you to type out the name, similar to what happens when you place down a sign. You write your name, and then yeah, it shows up, and the pig or, you know, animal won't despawn. I think that's a pretty good way to kind of get around, you know, adding too many things like the anvil and stuff. Would just be having that little pop up there, and I think, yeah, it would just be dungeon loot, you know, similar to how it is, you know, modern day kind of thing. And yeah, I think it would be a good little addition that people would like. This is one that I kind of almost forgot about, because I have a mod that actually makes it so that I can do this, and that is drag and shift clicking. Now, that is, you know, kind of holding shift and being able to instantly move items into, you know, a chest or something like that. Being able to, you know, click and hold and drag to separate them and things like that. Double click to bring them back. You know, shift double click to move bulk amounts of items in and out of chests. I have a mod that allows me to do certain aspects of this, but not all of it. But yeah, I think all of this kind of, you know, quality of life functionality is nice. And this could also extend to things like shift clicking signs onto blocks like chests, or you know, torches onto crafting tables and things like that. Now, personally, I don't know if I would like this, just because we can actually do this using update suppression, which I find I quite enjoy being able to do that, and it makes it a bit more impressive. You know, shift clicking, you know, maybe a pressure plate on a fence or something like that, I don't know. But I quite like update suppression, so I'd like it to stay. So I don't think it should extend to that sort of stuff. But yeah, when I say, you know, drag and shift clicking, I mean mostly, you know, within, you know, the UI inventory spaces. Now, this one is one of my personal favorites out of all of these, and this is something I really miss when I play beta, and that is the Enderman, the Ender Pearls, and the Ender Chest. Now, the Enderman might be one of my favorite mobs in Minecraft. I really like its mechanics, I like its spooky kind of nature, I like that it's, you know, a bit more rare, and I really love the Ender Pearl. I think the Ender Pearl is probably one of my favorite items in the game, and I think the Ender Pearl kind of fits in beta better than it does anywhere else. You know, the cost of direct health is far more costly in beta. So, you know, using an Ender Pearl is kind of, you know, directly more costly. And I think it would be, you know, pretty rare and hard to fight the Enderman. But yeah, let's talk about the Enderman first. When we place him down, you see here he sounds like a zombie, and he's got his green eyes. I don't think I would like it to have the sound of a zombie. I think that would be, you know, it'd be its normal Enderman voice, but I do like the green eyes. I think I have a whole video on what I think of, you know, the Enderman and its green eyes. But yeah, I think it looks better with its green eyes, and it makes a lot more sense in beta to have them. And yeah, like I said, Ender Pearl, one of the best items in the game, really useful for redstone or just getting around places. You know, almost like another transportation method. Really good for mini games and things like that. I think it's really good. The next one is the Ender Chest. I think being able to craft like a single Ender Chest is really useful. You know, being able to, I guess, fast travel items to and from bases is something you can't really do in beta. You have to manually walk them. I guess you could use a chest minecart, but no one ever does. But yeah, I think an Ender Chest would kind of fit in beta, and I think the way it would be crafted would be pretty much like this, where it has obsidian and then the Ender Pearl in the middle. I think that would be good. You know, and with the rarity and the difficulty in fighting Endermen, I think that would be a balanced, you know, a balanced recipe. But yeah, this is definitely by far one of my favorite mechanics in the game, is being able to Ender Pearl around the place. I just, yeah, I love Ender Pearls. Now these last two entries have to do with mobs and mob spawning that I think might fit into the game. But before we talk about those, I wanted to get into some honourable mentions and I guess some ones that I'm on the fence about, whether they should be added or, you know, ones that kind of fit the vibe of beta but have kind of other solutions to them in beta. Now the first one is the sponge, which I think could be cool and could come along with like another mob that, you know, maybe drops the sponge or something like that. But, you know, we do have gravel and sand that can get rid of water in large amounts. Now, to me personally, I think, you know, the challenge of getting rid of large bodies of water should be that, you know, it should be a challenge. Getting rid of water in real life is really hard, so I feel like it should be kind of, you know, if you see an underwater base or someone who's removed a lot of water in beta, you know, you should be impressed, I think. Now the next one of these is the Observer, which is a pretty cool block. It essentially is looking at what is in this space here, and when something changes, it will send a redstone output. So if we place a piston here, and then we place a block here like that, you'll see that it powers, and powers again whenever there's an update to this space. And this block was actually added because of a bug or a mechanic in beta Minecraft and old Minecraft where you could basically create an observer. It used to be called a bud switch, a block update detector, and yeah, basically it acted exactly the same way, but was a little more complex and, you know, creative and more difficult to make, but essentially acted the same. And for that reason, because you can already create one, I thought it would be, you know, it'd be silly to have, you know, the actual observer in the game. I kind of like having our bud switches in beta Minecraft. Alright, and the last one is kind of similar to the bud switch, which is the dispenser in the way that it acts, you know, in modern, where you can have a minecart dispensed onto a rail like this. That's what I'm specifically referring to. Now in beta Minecraft we can already kind of do this with magazines, minecart magazines. It works well in single player. Unfortunately in multiplayer it doesn't work too well, so that's kind of why I'm on the fence about it, because in multiplayer this would be really useful, because obviously, you know, entities are quite buggy when you log out or leave an area and things like that. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of these. Alright, now we're on to our final two, and these ones might be a little bit kind of conflicting for some people, but I've always liked the mechanic of being able to spawn mobs, and I think the Iron Golem and Snow Golem fit this kind of perfectly for me. I've always liked these mobs, and I've always liked the fact that you can create them, right? And you can choose where they go, you can choose where they live, and I think that's really cool. Now, I think the Iron Golem is interesting in beta because obviously it doesn't have a village to protect or anything like that. You know, you build it for yourself, and I think that's kind of cool, you know? It helps you defend your area that you make, and I feel like it's kind of cool. And something that I really like about these mobs is that they really add a lot of life to the world that you have, you know, a lot of life, a lot of movement, and it's great that you get to choose to make them, right? Now the Snow Golem obviously is another really useful mob in that you can use it to get snow in places where, you know, it isn't snowing, so you don't have to always go to a snow biome or anything like that. So I think that's really useful, and yeah, I just like these two mobs. They both fit really well in beta for me. Alright, now this very last one might be the most out there one, but it does relate kinda to these guys in that you can spawn it, and that is the Wither. No, I'm kidding. I don't think the Wither itself should be added to beta Minecraft. Maybe something like it, okay? Like a hostile mob that you can spawn similar to these guys, that, you know, it's like a challenge that you can fight. The closest thing we obviously have is the Wither. And, you know, maybe it is the Wither, but maybe slightly altered or something like that. But I think it would be cool to have something that you can choose to fight and choose to, you know, interact with, and choose to challenge yourself with, you know, just for the sake of it, right? I don't think it should have, like, a special item that it drops, you know, like a nether star or something to make a beacon. I think it should be something that you just choose to challenge yourself with, kind of like how you choose to challenge yourself with the, you know, advancements, or the achievements or whatever, right? Like, you know, to ride a pig off a cliff, you know, that you don't get anything from that, just, you know, you just get to do it, right? And I think, you know, that would be the same with this mob. It's just a bigger challenge, right? if it were to drop anything, maybe it could drop an apple. You know, an apple is unobtainable in beta Minecraft unless you kill Notch, which I don't think is going to happen legitimately. You know, they don't drop from trees or anything in beta, so maybe you could drop an apple. You know, that way you could almost kind of get a renewable way to get golden apples, but that does devalue golden apples, so maybe not. I prefer to think that it would just be like, you know, something you can spawn to challenge yourself, you know, something similar to the Wither. So yeah, pretty controversial idea, but let me know what you think of it in the comments. Alright, but that is going to be all for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed, you know, these little ideas that I feel like would fit into beta Minecraft. I enjoyed making this video, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments what you think of my choices, what you think of my ideas. You know, let me know if you have any ideas of your own that you think would fit into beta Minecraft. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters!